As I'm sure you're well aware, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 24 hours, Chase Elliott was crowned NASCAR champion last night by winning the Championship 4 race at the Phoenix International Raceway. And his team owner, Rick Hendrick, was very quick to confirm where Elliott's first race of next year will be, and it will not be in the NASCAR Cup Series. Rick Hendrick confirmed that both Chase Elliott and Jimmie Johnson will be racing at the Rolex 24 in 2021. Now, while the NASCAR season is over, the IMSA season is not, so you can catch a preview of where Chase Elliott will be racing in the first race of next year at the 12 Hours of Sebring, which is this weekend. And there have been some great storylines in IMSA heading into this final race of the season. The biggest one, really, in the last couple of races has been the number 31 Wheel and Engineering prototype Cadillac versus the number 7 Penske Acura. It all kicked off at this crash at Petit Le Mans, where Pipo Derani and Ricky Taylor were very upset with each other because it cost them both a race victory. This rivalry continued between the 31 and the 7, and particularly between Pipo Derani and the 7 at Laguna Seca, in which Helio Castroneves did this in practice at Laguna Seca. Now, it's very important to note that this is the last time that this particular car rivalry will be in an IMSA race, as it's the last race for the Penske Acuras. However, the Acuras will continue, and most likely Ricky Taylor and Helio Castroneves will still be able to battle with Pipo Derani, as Wayne Taylor Racing will move over to the Acura stable next year, foregoing the Cadillac prototype that has given that team such great success, and Meyer Shank Racing will be moving up from the GTD category into the Acura prototype as well. And for you GTLM fans, this year's 12 Hours of Sebring will be the last race for the Porsche GTLM program. So that adversary to the Corvettes in that class, this is the last time you will see them. You will not see them when Chase Elliott races at the Rolex 24 next year. Now, I was originally going to cover the 12 Hours of Sebring at the track for this channel. However, it has come to light recently that YouTube did not pay me for the entire month of October. So if you do enjoy the content here and want it to continue and want to see some great coverage of the Rolex 24, head over to my Patreon page. And if you don't want to do that, go over to race92.com, check out the David Land collection, buy a t-shirt. It'll help keep this channel going. Now, more specifically talking about the Chase Elliott news. Sports Car 365, which is a very, very reliable source for sports car news, particularly United States-based sports car news. Quite honestly, they're the best. They're reporting that Action Express Racing will enter a second DPI Cadillac for this particular effort involving Chase Elliott and Jimmie Johnson. Makes a ton of sense. It had to be a GM product, and it really came down to whether or not this was going to be in DPI, going for the overall win, or whether it was going to be with Corvette in GTLM. They've clearly gone the DPI route. And Sports Car 365 is also reporting that Simon Pagenaud, the IndyCar driver for Team Penske and current Team Penske Acura prototype driver, will be the third driver in what will be an incredibly star-studded Cadillac racing at this year's Rolex 24. Now, there has been a long history of NASCAR winners and champions at the Rolex 24. In recent history, including Jimmie Johnson recent history, Johnson finished second in 2008 driving for the Gainsco team. However, Johnson has not won the race. He looks to do that next year. Jamie McMurray and Kyle Larson, however, were much more fortunate, winning in 2015 for Chip Ganassi Racing. And most recently, and probably the example that everybody's going to jump to, is Jeff Gordon winning with Wayne Taylor Racing in a Cadillac DPI in 2017. Now, it's also important to note, before we launch into how Elliott and his team will fare in the Rolex 24 next year, is that Chase has already won on the Daytona road course. He's already done it this year, and really a lot of people think that Elliott is one of the most prolific road course racers in the NASCAR Cup Series right now. But we need to talk about how this team is going to do and what are their chances and what are their weak points in a field of the star-studded stars, I guess you could say, of prototype sports car racing. And ultimately, yes, I think the chances of this particular Rolex 24 effort being successful, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, a lot of this hinges on how quickly Chase Elliott will adapt to a sports prototype. Now, as far as I'm aware, Chase Elliott has never been in a car as quick as this one. Certainly, he has the road racing pedigree from the Cup Series. He's won truck races on road courses. I definitely think he has the talent. The question is going to be adaptability. This is where he's going to really struggle because there are some NASCAR drivers who adapted very, very quickly to road racing. Yeah, I think of great examples like just this year with Kyle Busch jumping in the Ames Vassar Sullivan Lexus and immediately was one of the fastest drivers in GTD. Then you have some other examples like Carl Edwards jumping in a prototype at Montreal about 10 years ago and crashing on the pace lap, and I don't think he even ever returned to prototype racing. Now, everyone will talk about how Jeff Gordon won the Rolex in 2017, and while, yes, he was a part of the winning team, ultimately, and this is, believe me, I'm not trying to disparage Jeff Gordon, but he didn't do an awful lot of the heavy lifting in that particular race. That was really down to Ricky Taylor and Jordan Taylor. That was a four-car team. I think Max Angelelli was the third driver, and then Jeff Gordon was the fourth. This appears that it's going to be a three-driver operation with Action Express, if indeed Sports Car 365 is right. And again, they're the best at what they do. I do not doubt their reporting on this. Simon Pagenaud, one of the best sports car racers, in my opinion, in the world. One of the reasons he's even in IndyCar right now is because of how strong he was at Highcroft Racing way back in the 2010s in the ALMS, the American Le Mans Series. Jimmie Johnson, I'm a little bit less worried about, and I want to, again, it sounds like I'm downplaying the NASCAR drivers. I'm really not. But again, it's a really steep learning curve. Johnson hasn't been in a sports prototype since, I think, 2011, so it's been a while. However, he has been testing Indy cars, so I would imagine he's going to be in race shape in terms of physicality of driving a prototype. Will the pace be there? That's the question. Chase Elliott is the same thing. I don't doubt that the guy is an incredibly talented racing car driver. And I do think he's one of the most talented drivers in NASCAR, and that's a huge part of why this is such a big deal, because this is really the first time, because as far as I'm aware, Chase Elliott really doesn't have any Formula car experience, and he really doesn't have any sports car racing experience as far as I'm aware, certainly not at a high level like a DPI. This car is, 10, 20 seconds faster around the Daytona road course than a Cup car. That's massive speed. He's going to be going almost 200 miles an hour on the banking, and that's going to be coming out of the chicanes. And he's going to have to brake way later than he's ever braked before. It's a steep learning curve. So the chances of Action Express winning with this particular car, you're going to have to put them up against the benchmark of the Pipo Duranis of the world, who they are going to be teammates with. And Pipo Durani and Ricky Taylor and so many of the other drivers in IMSA, they are just so fast. Will Simon Pagenaud be able to elevate that team in terms of being able to go head-to-head with the top sports car racers? Yes. But as an all-star car, is this going to be a race-winning effort? My bet would be no. Now, again, I probably would have said that about the Jeff Gordon car in 2017. But unless they add another driver, unless there's a fourth driver and someone who has a really high sports car pedigree, I would not, and I'm just being factual with you here, I would not expect this team to win. Now, stranger things have happened and it's a 24-hour race. But that's another part to this whole equation. Not only is Chase going to have to adapt to a new car, a car that's going to be at a performance level that he's never experienced before. He's also going to have to do that in a situation where you're going to have 30, 40 other cars out there, all going different speeds, all having different braking capabilities. It is going to be, and also, oh yeah, by the way, day, night, possibly rain, very cold conditions. Cold tires are a very major factor in sports car racing, especially prototype racing. There's a lot stacked against him, which is what makes this such an interesting story. Now, one thing that will be working in Chase's favor is the fact that the way IMSA has structured the Rolex 24 proceedings this year, the Roar before the 24, the big test, it's like a 3 or 4 day test, will actually be the week before the Rolex. So Chase will be able to get a bunch of testing in, and then it's right into race week for the Rolex 24. There's no break in between, so he will have the maximum track time to be able to get acclimatized to the car. And again, I think if he is a fast learner in terms of sports car racing, I think they will be very competitive. This is definitely going to be a story we'll be tracking, and definitely one, pretty much the major storyline going into the 2021 IMSA season is going to be seeing how this Jimmie Johnson, Chase Elliott, Simon Pagenaud Cadillac is able to get on, and how quickly or not quickly they're on the pace. And also, by the way, for an IndyCar preview, I guess, it's that how is Jimmie Johnson going to do at very high levels of road racing, which, of course, he's going to be doing in the 2021 IndyCar Series. This is exciting, no doubt about it. The NASCAR Cup champion going into 2021, starting his season with the Rolex. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I'm launching a new channel tomorrow. Be sure to check out the details on this channel tomorrow about where to subscribe and what will be on that channel. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. This has been David Land on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.